Welcome to At Home with Music, and September is Classical Music Month. Now, I'm a little late in the game here because I know that it's almost halfway through September, but we've been on vacation for the last couple of weeks, but now that we're back, it is Classical Music Month. And here's a quote from nationaltoday.com. Celebration of Classical Music Month started in 1994 by President Bill Clinton, who declared every September as Classical Music Month. His proclamation stated, quote, "Classical music is a celebration of artistic excellence. This month we exalt the many talented composers, conductors, and musicians who bring classical music to our ears. Music is a unifying force in our world, bringing people together across vast cultural and geographical divisions," end quote. Music is a powerful medium, expressing emotion and touching hearts unlike anything else. Famous musicians, composers like Mozart, Beethoven, and Haydn are some of the legendary composers who have gifted us classical music. This wide-ranging genre uses multiple instruments for playing a single melody, giving a powerful sound that has transcended over time. It's important to celebrate Classical Music Month to preserve the legacies of great musicians and introduce this genre to new audiences. Whether it's rock, jazz, or country music, the inspiration and roots will always be connected to classical music. In honor of Classical Music Month, I'm going to be producing this video series on the various periods of classical music. So this is going to be music history, and many music historians will tell you that there are 5 periods of classical music. There's the medieval period, there's the Renaissance, there's Baroque, and then there's the classical. So yeah, there's a classical period within classical music. And then the Romantic period. So they'll give you those 5, but I'd like to add a few more. I also like to add the Impressionists and the modern music. Now, of course, these periods, these musical eras, they do overlap. It's not like one period ended and then boom, the next one started. Some composers kind of bridged the gap between eras. But in fact, each period can be divided into even smaller periods. Like in medieval music, you can start with ancient music, talk about Gregorian chant, also secular songs, folk music. Some composers, like Beethoven, for example, are often considered bridges between 2 periods. So Beethoven started in the classical era, and then by the end of his life, in his later compositions, he could be considered a romantic. And then there are composers who borrowed from one period in a later time frame. So there are romantic composers who still composed in a classical style. So while there are definitely different periods in music history, they do overlap. Now, each of these composers, the composers in each of these periods, had famous works, and you'll recognize some of them when you hear them. Music history is a broad subject. Countless books and academic papers have been written to study music history. So my aim in this series is to give you the 30,000-foot view, if you like. We're going to go through an overview of music history. To try and cover every nook and cranny of music history would make this a super, super long series. So we're going to hit the highlights and talk about the most famous composers. Later on, we might throw in some more obscure composers. We'll talk about the great works of art that they produced, and maybe even some of their lesser-known works. At any rate, there's a great deal here to talk about, and I'm very excited to share it with you. So this is your introduction to music history here at Home with Music.